Resolve that legal issue over the break. Call the witness back in, Ms. Gray, please.
Ms. Gray? Ms. Gray?
All right, Ms. Gray's back on the witness stand. Go ahead, Mr. Shellhorn.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could just re-pull up the breakout room, please,
Sure.
and we'll resume with where we just left off. And again, Judge, I'm referring to exhibit for identification, not evidence, S-171. Ms. Gray, we're just pulling that up in front of you, and if you recall, I had asked you about line 6, 7, 7, 8, and I should back up. You understand the exhibit, I know you don't have a physical exhibit in front of you, but it's been marked as S-171 would be your text messages between you and Michael Barison?
What are you asking me exactly?
You understand that S-171 are the text messages that were recovered from your phone between you and Michael Barison?
Okay, yes, sir.
And you haven't reviewed all of those before court today, correct?
No,
But you did look at some of them before you came into court today?
I did.
So I'm going to direct your attention to line 6, 7, 7, 8. Is that a text message from Michael Barison to you on February 17th, 2019?
Yes, sir.
And what was the specific text of that text message? It's in column D.
How awesome. I've had that experience with horses too. Horsemanship is in all we do if we see it.
Next, I'm going to direct you to, and we're going to pull this up, lines 2417 to 2420. When you were coaching, when the defendant was coaching you as a rider, did he have certain sayings or things that he would say at times when he was coaching you?
Yes,
And were some of those things that he would repeat on a regular basis?
for sure.
And did some of them almost become ingrained in your mind?
Yes, yeah.
And I'm directing you to line 2417. Is that a text message from you to Michael Barison on May 18th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
And do you ask him, what are the 3 things you never want to hear in the arena?
Yes.
And then the second line where it says, he's this or he's that, I'm trying, and what's the third? Is that you asking him what those
Correct.
3 things are?
Correct.
And on line 2418, did he respond to you?
He did.
And did he tell you what the third thing was?
Yes,
What was that?
I know.
So if I direct your attention down to line 2420, which is 2 lines down, what did he say in that text message?
I don't care what he or she is or likes. If you aren't trying, why are you here? And if you knew, you wouldn't have this problem.
And is that consistent with something or 3 things that he never wanted to hear a rider say in the arena?
Yes, sir.
Judge, for the record, can I have the date set forth on the record?
Judge, that's May 18th, 2018. And the last questions that I wanted to ask you on this line would be on line 2528
Okay.
and 2529. Are those 2 text messages from the defendant, Michael Barison, to you?
Yes, sir.
And those are on May 23rd, 2018?
Correct.
And is the first one, it's the part of horsemanship most people don't get?
Yes, sir.
What did he say in the follow-up text message to you on line 2529?
You want me to read it out loud?
Yes, please.
Okay. I have a limit on that nonsense. Horse, get a fucking hold of yourself. You will behave. You will not threaten nor endanger me. And you will do what I tell you or I will beat your ass. Funny, it's been working perfectly a long, long time.
All right, thank you. Now, in terms of how the work was split at the farm on a day-to-day basis when you were there, what were your sort of roles or responsibilities at the farm?
I did a lot of the riding, not as much of the teaching, but most of the riding. Had some personal clients and personal horses, and would ride what I needed to when I needed to, type of thing.
And when you say that you were in charge of, or did a lot of the riding, what does that mean? Can you explain that to the jury?
The training of the horses?
Were you paid to work there?
No, sir.
Did you pay the defendant anything to board your horses there?
No, sir.
How many horses did you have living there, for example, in August of 2019?
I think 8 or 9.
Were there any other long-term employees for the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Justin Hardin, and then some kids that work for us as working students that have been there for a while.
And can you explain to the jury who Justin Hardin was and what his role at the barn was from your perspective?
Justin had been there a lot longer than I had, but he would be considered like an assistant trainer. He did a lot of the teaching to the ladies and also was a trainer of the horses.
Do you know what the name of the defendant's business was?
Michael Barison Dressage?
And are you aware whether he had a website for that business?
I am, yeah.
With respect to the website, what is your recollection about what some of the different pages or sections of the website were?
I think it showed both the facilities, Florida and New Jersey, and then it showed picture and information on myself, Justin, and Michael.
Judge, I believe these items are marked as S73. Excuse me, Judge. S71, S72.
Hold on a second. 70?
No, 71, S72, S73, S74, S75, and S76.
I have no objection to these coming into evidence, Judge.
All right. S71 through S76 will be admitted into evidence.
All right, Ms. Gray, I'm going to ask you if you could first look at what we'll pull up here is S71. Actually, could I ask that you look at first S73? What does S73 appear to be?
Maybe the homepage of the website, maybe?
And do you see a date in the top left corner there?
Yes,
What's the date there?
August 8th, 2019.
And does this appear to be a fair and accurate, I guess, screenshot or printout of the way the website looked on that date?
Yes, yes, sir.
So you said you thought that this was the, possibly the homepage. What does it say under Barisone Dressage? To your
I
recollection?
don't recall.
Underneath that, what did it say in that next line? And if you need us to
I
make
can
it a
read
little
it.
bigger.
We are a full-service, world-class dressage boarding, training, and coaching business with farms in New Jersey and Florida. Our team of Grand Prix dressage riders produces horses to international levels, and we offer limited sales.
And the picture there in the middle of the screen that would have been on the website is what?
The New Jersey farm.
And is that the clubhouse that you talked about earlier?
Correct.
So if we look in the very middle of that picture, you had indicated there was like a foyer with some coolers.
Yes,
Was that the doorway that you would enter
it
into?
is.
And where on this picture would the office be that you looked at pictures of?
The far left window, not the building on the other side, but in the front structure, the far left window.
Almost where that column from the
Right behind.
overhang comes on? What was in the building that is to the far left?
It was a shop. Workshop.
Scrolling down a little bit more, what is Hawthorne Hill?
I think originally that was what John Lumberg called the facility.
Who do you know John Lumberg to be?
It was a partner, he was a partner with Michael Barison on the New Jersey farm.
And is it fair to say then, I won't make you read this whole thing, but is this a paragraph that was on the website that would talk about some of the facilities and what the amenities were at the property?
Correct.
And is there also an address there?
There is.
Is that the same address as the property that you were discussing earlier?
Yes, sir.
All right, next I'm going to ask you if you could look at S75. And S75 has that same logo in the center as well as the same date in the top left corner.
Yes, sir.
And it has that same, I guess, description of the business right under Barisone Dressage as well.
Yes, sir.
And if we scroll down on S75, who's that a picture of?
That's myself. That's me.
And for the members of the jury who aren't familiar with dressage, what are you wearing in that picture?
I'm wearing the uniform that you compete at FEI level, so it's a long shad belly. We call it a shad belly. It's a long coat with tails and competition helmet, and our white pants we ride in the shows, and then white gloves. So like my competition outfit.
And if we scroll down a little bit more, and again, I won't embarrass you and ask you to read this whole thing, but is that your name as well as a description of some of your accomplishments and what you would offer at the farm?
Yes, sir.
And next, if I could direct your attention to S76. Does S76 have a date of August 7th, 2019 in the top left corner?
It does.
And that's the date of the shooting?
Yes, sir.
And again, has the same logo and language about the business in the middle there?
Yes, sir.
And as we scroll down, who is that a picture of?
Michael Barison.
And again, is he wearing the common attire that you would wear for an FEI tournament
Yes.
or competition?
Yes, sir.
And then does this webpage have Michael Barisone's name as well as some other information about his background and some of his accomplishments in the equestrian and dressage community?
Correct.
And then the last, be careful pouring that over your table. The last one I wanted to ask you about at this point was S72. Does that indicate a date of August 10th, 2019?
It does.
And if we scroll down, what is that a picture of?
The Florida farm.
And that's the farm that you indicated that you would train at when you were in Florida with the defendant?
Correct.
Now, you indicated that this stable was smaller than the New Jersey stable?
It is, yes.
Do you remember approximately how many horses this stable could accommodate?
In this barn, I think 14, I'm guessing, as a guess.
And again, with this website, or this web page rather, there's a description of the Florida facilities and some of the other amenities that are located there.
That's correct.
Now, during the summer of 2019, in particular, did the defendant ever express any concerns to you over the way that the farm was running?
Yes.
In general, what were some of the concerns he would complain of?
I would say it was always like management, cleanliness, keeping things in order. And
I want to ask you a few follow-up questions that's about your own horse ownership. You indicated that in August of 2019, you think maybe you owned 8 or 9 horses.
I did.
Can horses be expensive to buy?
Yes.
What would be some of the factors that may impact how expensive a horse is?
The level of training, competition experience, talent, quality, age.
And do people, and I'll ask you specifically about the dressage community, do people buy horses for different reasons?
For sure, yes.
What are some of the reasons that you bought and owned 8 or 9 horses?
I bought my horses to develop, either to be competition horses or sale horses.
I'm assuming that purchasing the horse isn't where the expenses end?
Absolutely not.
What are some of the ownership expenses that a horse owner is responsible for?
Board, training, if you go there, feed, farrier, vet, competition, if you compete, you can go on and on, tack, riding apparel.
So tack is riding apparel?
No, riding apparel will be like the stuff that you wear, boots, hat, equipment, and then like the horse equipment.
And what's tack?
Tack is saddle, bridle, blankets, boots, everything that goes on the horse.
How about you just use the term farrier? For the members of the jury who don't know what a farrier is, what's that?
It's the person that trims the horse's feet. Their feet grow, and they trim about every 4 to 6 weeks, and they put shoes on or leave them barefoot.
During the course of time that you were working with the defendant and involved in a romantic relationship with him, did you ever discuss anything about his reputation, or did you ever see him do any things to reflect on his reputation?
Can you elaborate?
Was his reputation important to him?
For sure.
And why was that?
I think
Objection.
All right, what's the nature of the objection? On what grounds?
How does she know why his reputation is important, or the reasons?
Clarify that. I'll have him rephrase the question.
You indicated that you ran a business with the defendant, worked with him,
work with him, yes.
and we just looked at a number of web pages that marketed the various properties that he owned, as well as himself and the trainers who worked there.
Yes.
Did you ever make any observations of him and the way he would deal with people that would indicate to you that his reputation was important to him?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I think in the horse industry, your reputation is a lot. How you deal with people and horses, for sure.
Did you ever see him interact with other people, coaching other people or training other people besides yourself?
Yes, absolutely.
And was the way that he interacted with those people the same as how he interacted and coached you, or different?
Could be different.
And what would be an example of it being different?
I think he was harder on me because of our relationship and his desire to see me do well, and his belief in my abilities.
So I guess would the corollary to that be that sometimes he was easier on other people that he didn't coach on a regular basis?
Yes.
Now, during the times that you interacted with him, that you were working with him, that you were in a relationship with him, did you ever know anything about the business that he was running?
Yes.
For example, did you know anything, maybe not specifics, but did you know general things about the finances of the business?
General things.
And can you tell the jury what you knew?
That it took a lot of money to run a business of that size.
And at times, would he indicate that to you or tell you that he was having issues in terms of cash flow?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that would be with relation to having cash liquid available?
Correct.
Do you recall approximately how expensive it was or what the expenses were on a monthly basis to run the farm?
I would guesstimate between $40,000 and $50,000 a month.
And I'm going to direct your attention to S171. And I believe I would ask for a breakout room at this point, Judge.
Why?
Now, you indicated that the defendant was, was married before you?
Correct.
Were you aware of his finances related to the divorce?
Not necessarily. I mean, I've been divorced, so I know that finances usually get split up.
Did he ever share anything with you about how much money he had to pay out in the divorce?
I'm sure, yes.
So first, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna direct your attention to line 5398.
What number exhibit is this?
This is again S-171. This is line 5398. Is that a text message from Michael Barisone to you in November of 2018 that says, how do you think I keep all this going? 40K a month, I can't go to sleep, I have to be aware every day.
That is correct.
And then down approximately 6 or 7 more lines on line 5405. Did he send you a text message on that same day indicating the per month expenses at the farm?
Yes, he did.
And did he indicate the lease for the New Jersey farm was $6,000 a month, mortgage Florida $3,000, feed $5,000, shavings $3,000, farrier $3,000, property taxes $3,000, workers $8,000, insurance $3,000, utilities $2,000, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, sir.
And the other text message that I wanted to direct your attention to was on line 7270. Are you aware of approximately when Michael Barisone's divorce with Vera Kessels became final?
I'm pretty sure it was December of 2018.
Okay. And so this is a text message from March 19th, 2019, is that correct? From Michael Barisone to you?
Yes.
And did he say, I got clipped, 965K, hard to feel good?
Yes.
And was it your understanding, or is that refresh your memory, that he had paid approximately that amount of money as a result of the divorce?
Yes, or was going to have to do that.
Now, you indicated that and maybe this is my words, not yours, but that the dressage community is somewhat close-knit.
Absolutely.
Are you aware of an individual involved in the dressage, or strike that? Are you aware of an individual involved in the equestrian community named George Morris?
I am.
And do you know if the defendant knew Judge George Morris personally?
I am aware of that, yes.
Did something happen to George Morris on August 5th, 2019?
Yes.
Do you know what that was?
He had a lifetime safe sport ban.
And was that newsworthy or noteworthy in the
Very
equestrian
much,
community?
yes. For several reasons.
Now, you just mentioned safe sport. Can you tell the jury what your understanding of safe sport is?
Safe sport is for all the Olympic sports. It's something like all of us have to go through either as a coach, trainer, rider, owner. It's a course you have to complete and a continuing education you have to stay up to date with about all of the basic moral values of dealing with athletes, children, everything from bullying to sexual abuse, all the things that have kind of gone on in the past that have brought us to this point.
And safe sport didn't exist when you first started riding,
No,
did it?
absolutely not.
So did it become something that, when it was instituted, everyone knew about and
Yes,
talked about?
yes, it was a requirement to compete and be an active member.
Are you aware whether the defendant was registered or licensed through safe sport?
I think in the beginning, yes.
What is USEF?
United States Equestrian Federation.
And can you tell the jury what the role of the United States Equestrian Federation is?
Well, we have two governing bodies. We have USDF and USDF. In order to compete, we have to have active memberships as rider, coach, owner. They're governing bodies that we have to be members of in order to be an active competitor.
Now, are you aware of whether the defendant, Michael Barrisone, knew people at the higher levels or at the administrative levels of the USEF?
I am aware of that.
At some point, did the defendant ask you to gather information about Lauren Kanarek?
Yes.
And did you have conversations with him about contacting USEF in late July or early August of 2019?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to direct your attention to S171, line 9338. Is that a text message from Michael Barisone to you on July 30th, 2019?
It looks like me to Michael.
9338, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The wrong one was highlighted there.
Michael to me, yes. Do you want me to read that?
What number is that?
It's line 9338.
38.
Can you read that text message that the defendant sent you on July 30th?
Yes. I need every single person who has ever been screwed by Lauren, Rob, and the dad. Farriers, vets, trainers, every single one. I'm going to get her a lifetime ban as a competitor.
And are the words "every single person" entirely in capitals?
Yes.
Did he then go on line 9342, approximately 3 text messages later, to repeat "every single person," all in capitals?
Yes.
Did you or the defendant at some point make a complaint directly to USEF about Lauren Kanarek?
Yes.
Do you recall when that was?
July, maybe in July sometime? I don't remember exactly.
Would it be fair to say it was around the same time that that text message was sent?
Oh, when was that sent?
Well, that you just identified that as July 30th,
Okay,
2019.
then yes, yeah.
So I'm gonna, Judge, I'd like to ask for S400 to be marked and entered into evidence so I can show it to the witness and display it to the jury.
What number is that?
400. That's the receipt.
No objection.
All right, no objection. It's 400 will be admitted into evidence and can be shown to the witness and to the jurors.
Thank you, Your Honor. When you made the complaint to the United States Equestrian Foundation, how did you make that?
Email?
Did you send the email or did someone else?
I don't remember, maybe both of us, actually.
Did you at any point ever collect materials and send them in the regular mail or UPS?
I did.
And what specifically did you send them?
Lots and lots of information that we gathered on Lauren Kanarek.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as S400. Does S400 appear to be a receipt from the UPS store dated in the top left, Tuesday, August 6, 2019?
Yes, sir.
And who is the sender?
Myself.
Who is the recipient?
Sonia Keating.
What is your understanding, or who do you know Sonia Keating to be?
I think she was the main contact for the Safe Sport.
Where did you get her name as a contact to send this to?
I don't recall.
Did the defendant give it to you?
I don't recall.
All right, we'll scroll down to the second page of SS400. And in the top left, is that a copy of the receipt from the UPS store?
Yes.
And does that indicate you sent it from the Chester UPS store on August 6, 2019 at 1:11 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
Scrolling down a little bit more, it indicates, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that you bought a box while you were there to ship the materials in?
Apparently, yes.
Where it says 8.5 by 11 copies, QTY 756, What does that mean to you?
Quantity of 756 pages.
And would that be does that sound approximately like the number of pages that you would have sent as part of this package to
It does,
USCF
yes.
Safe Sport?
Yes.
Now, I think you had indicated before that you would train at the Florida farm in the winter months and then come north to New Jersey to train during the summer season.
Correct.
Approximately, when did the summer season run from?
April or May to November-ish.
So in August of 2019, were you here at the New Jersey farm?
Correct.
That summer, when you moved here in approximately April, May, where were you living?
I don't recall the very first where we were living. It was at the barn, in the barn apartment, or we went straight to the house. I don't recall.
But at some point that summer, were you living in the house?
Absolutely, yes.
And is that when you referenced earlier that you were also living in the house at the same time as Rob and Lauren?
Yes, correct.
You also, I think, indicated that Justin Hardin had previously lived in the second floor, but that in the summer of 2019, Rob and Lauren were living there.
That's correct.
What was the reason for the change in living situation?
Honestly, I can't answer that other than arrangements were made for her to move in and Justin to move out.
Well, let me ask you, did anything happen to the house, or are you aware of anything happening to the house at some point during the winter of 2018, 2019?
I am.
What was that?
There was a pipe that burst in the top floor and the kitchen that belonged to Justin Hardin, and the water ran through all floors of the house.
And did you actually see some of the damage at some point that had been done by the water?
Yes.
What floors was that to, the damage?
From what I understand, it started in the upstairs kitchen, and then the ground floor was the whole kitchen area, and a little bit into the dining room needed a full renovation, and down into the basement as well.
And the basement is where you indicated that the working students would usually live?
Correct.
Were any of them able to live there during the summer of 2019?
No.
And when you moved back into the house in the summer of 2019, what floor of the house were you living on?
The ground floor.
What was the condition or state of that floor?
It needed a full renovation.
Now, directing your attention to Lauren Kanarek and Rob Goodwin, do you recall when you first met them approximately?
Approximately, yes. In the winter in Florida of 2018.
And did they then come back to New Jersey and Lauren live and train in New Jersey in the summer of 2018?
I don't recall. I think that she came as a client, but I think lived maybe elsewhere at the time.
Now, what was the nature of your involvement with Lauren Kanarek from a business or a working perspective when she first came to Barison Dressage?
I taught her here and there.
And at some point, did that change?
In what way?
Did the defendant ever ask you to do anything with respect to training or coaching Lauren Kanarek?
Yes.
When was that?
I helped her, even when she first came, I taught her some in Florida. And then mostly it was Justin, and then I helped her some in the summer of 2019.
How did that go?
Really bad.
Did you express that to the defendant?
Yes.
What was his response?
I'm not really sure how to answer that other than I wasn't able to deal with it anymore, so I asked him to teach her.
Did you have any professional relationship with Rob Goodwin?
Only via the horses and being around in the barn.
I mean, did you ever coach him, train him,
No.
work with him?
No.
What would you describe your personal or social relationship like with them when they first came to the barn?
In Florida?
When they first came to work with Michael Barison and Barison Dressage, how would you describe your personal or social relationship with them?
Non-existent.
So So you had no interaction with them at the beginning of their...
Not really. I mean, I taught her maybe a handful of times the first season in Florida, but no social relationship.
Did you ever have a social relationship with them?
I would say no.
What was your understanding or knowledge, just what you were aware of the working agreement or the professional agreement between Lauren Kanarek and the defendant?
That I never really knew.
Did you ever have any observation? Did you know why she was at the farm?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
What was she doing at the farm?
To work on her riding and develop her horses, and progress as a rider.
And did she come there to work with Michael Barisone, with you, with Justin Hardin, or
With Michael
someone else?
Barison.
Did you ever observe them working together?
Yes,
Do you know if she had any horses at the barn?
she did.
Do you know approximately how many?
The number grew, maybe 4 at one time.
Are you aware if she was paying any money to Michael Barisone to board the horses, train the horses, or get coached there?
Yes, sir.
Summer of 2019, whether it was at the New Jersey farm or
Summer
somewhere
of
else?
2018, yeah. 19 was at the house.
And you indicated that they were living in the farmhouse.
That's correct.
Now, we just looked at those, some of those text messages between you and Michael Barisone, as well as the receipt from the UPS store. Is it fair to say, or would you characterize things between yourself and Michael and Rob and Lauren at that time as good or bad?
The whole environment was really bad.
Objection, what was the time frame?
Yes, repeat that question.
I'll re-ask it, Judge.
Rephrase then. All right, withdrawn and rephrase, please.
By July of 2019, how would you describe the relationship between yourself and Michael Barisone with Lauren Kanarek and Rob Goodwin?
2019,
Yes.
the environment in the stable and around them was really unhealthy and toxic.
At some point, did Michael Barisone send you a text message telling you that he would make things miserable for them to stay?
I think that you and I have talked about that, but I don't necessarily recall.
Well, let me show you the text
Yeah.
message. And this is on S-171, Judge, line 9080. Is line 9080 a text message from Michael Barisone to you on July 13th, 2019?
Yes, sir.
And did he text you, I will just make it so miserable to be here that they will beg to go elsewhere, watch me. This I am very, very good at.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that during the course of July 2019 and August 2019, there were conversations between you and the defendant about ways to get rid of Lauren Kanarek and Rob Goodwin?
Yes, to get them off the farm, yes.
Now, you mentioned that you were living in the farmhouse with Michael Barisone and that Lauren and Rob were living upstairs.
Yes,
At some point that summer, do you recall if you moved out of the farmhouse?
we did.
Do you remember approximately when that was?
End of July,
And where did you go?
up to the clubhouse, club room.
At times during the beginning of August 2019, when you were living up at the clubhouse at this point, did other people come to stay at the farm?
They did.
Do you recall who some of those people may have been?
My father, my son was there at some point, Ruth Cox, Mary DeFranco, some of the kids were there, their parents, type of thing.
And so Ruth Cox, for example, who is Ruth Cox?
Ruth is a person that I owned a horse with, and Michael owned a horse with. I actually owned 2 horses with. She was a partner and a friend and client.
And how frequently would you say that she would come to the farm?
Quite often.
I'm going to show you what's line 9350 on S171. And is that a text message from Michael Barisone to you on August 3rd, 2019?
Yes.
Did he tell you, I need people here, adults, granddad, I told Ruth she can't leave, they will be broken by force of numbers?
That is correct.
And that was after you had moved out of the farmhouse and up to the clubhouse?
That's correct.
And I forget, I think you had said that it was the things up there were very toxic or something to that effect?
That's an understatement.
Now, are you aware in the beginning of August 2019, so after you move out of the farmhouse on about July 30th, you're living in the clubhouse, for those first couple of days in August of 2019, are you aware of whether anyone explicitly told Lauren and Rob to leave the property?
At some point, yes, it was said through, I think I actually said it at one point, it was said through an attorney in a meeting, so yes.
Are you aware of whether Michael Barisone ever told them to leave?
I'm not aware of that.
Now I'm going to direct your attention to line 9364 and 9365.
Okay.
Is 9364 a text message from you to Michael Barisone on August 3rd, 2019?
Yes.
And did you ask him, why can we not say to Lauren and Rob and the father, because still no one actually has, we are evicting you, you must leave, no one has said it?
That's correct.
And is his response to you on line 9365 Monday morning?
Yes, that's correct.
Moving down several more lines to line 9371. Is that another text message from later that day on August 3rd, 2019?
Yes.
Is that a text message sent from Michael Barrisone to you at 7:11 p.m.?
Yes.
And does he say, let the calm stay, give the man... In meeting with her in that room, was the door open or closed?
Closed.
Was anyone else in that room when you were having substantive conversations with her about why she was there?
No.
Did anyone ever interrupt you?
Yes.
Who is that?
Michael Barison.
Do you recall how many times he interrupted you?
3, maybe?
And without getting into specifically what the caseworker may have said, after she told him something, what did he do? Would he stay in the room or leave?
Oh, he would leave.
At some point, did he come back into the room and ask you to leave the room?
Yes.
Where did you go after you left the room?
We went to the room adjacent to the office.
And did that have a door on it?
It did.
Were you able to see where Michael Barisone went or what he did after he asked you to leave the office?
No.
What were your observations of his demeanor at the time that the caseworker arrived?
Terrified, horrified, in panic, despondent, I mean, just completely upset.
Did you see him at that point running around the clubhouse or the barn at all?
No.
Did he raise his voice or yell or scream or anything at that point?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Now, at some point, did you become aware that there were police at 411 West Mill Road on August 7th?
Yes.
Do you recall how you became aware of that?
I think I'd come out of the office and my father was actually walking up the driveway. So he told me.
Do you have any personal knowledge of what happened at the farmhouse that afternoon?
Ray, you indicated that your status is professional, correct?
Correct.
What is Lauren Kanarek's position?
As far as I know, an adult amateur.
And what is the quality of her riding ability?
Judge, objection?
Talking about
What's the basis for the objection?
I think there could be a foundation, sorry, Judge.
There could be a foundation laid, but I don't think there's any foundation for that question to be asked.
I think it also calls for opinion, but depending on the nature of the foundation.
She's the trainer, Judge, and you've watched her over an extended period of time.
I don't know, I'll agree with your characterization over an extended period of time, but she did indicate that at points she worked with Ms. Kanarek prior to the defendant, so I don't find the question objectionable. I'm not sure of the relevance, but I'll allow counsel some leeway in that regard.
What's Lauren Kanarek's riding ability?
She actually has quite a bit of ability and capability to be a great rider. But she rides as an amateur, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. And do you consider yourself a better rider, more accomplished rider than she?
I wouldn't say a better rider. You don't even really have to have talent if you want to put the time in and work on getting better. I have competed more and have more like accolades because I've been doing it a long time, but the average person can learn to ride if they want to put the time and effort in.
All right. Did Lauren Kanarek put the time in based on your observations of her?
Not necessarily.
Did she always show up when she was scheduled to ride?
Most of the time not.
Did she cause disruption within the stable or the dressage business while she was there?
A lot of times, yes.
Now, the prosecutor asked you specific questions about the farmhouse, the 3 different living areas, directing your attention to July of 2019. That was after there was a flood, correct?
Correct.
And where was Michael Barison when that flood occurred?
In Florida.
With you?
Yes.
Was anyone living in the house at that time, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And in the summer of 2019, was the house under construction?
Yes.
Okay. And where you and Michael were living on the main floor of that farmhouse, was that partially being renovated?
It was. I don't think it had started yet, but it was gutted and empty.
It was gutted, there was no insulation?
No.
Could you hear the tenants above you,
Yes.
Lauren and Robert Goodwin, correct?
Correct.
And did there become a problem with them living above you?
Yes.
What was the problem?
Well,
Is that because you think he believed that you had the talent to accomplish great things in your sport?
I do.
And would you agree with me that he didn't push Lauren Kanarek as hard as you, correct?
Absolutely not.
Did he believe that she did not have the talent or the drive
Objection.
to do that?
Yeah, I think that's objectionable about what was in Mr. Barisone, so question will be stricken. Move on.
Now, You indicated on direct that Michael Barisone's reputation means a lot to him, correct?
Correct.
Does your reputation mean a lot to you?
Sure.
And was your reputation attacked by Lauren Kanarek and Robert Goodwin?
Yes.
Did they basically do the same thing to you that they were doing to Michael Barison?
Hold on a second. Let me see that sidebar.
Now, you indicated that Michael Barisone's reputation is important to him, correct?
Correct.
Do you know any other professional athlete or dressage trainer whose reputation is not important to them?
No, sir.
Now, do you have personal information with regards to Lauren Kanarek attacking Michael Barison's reputation?
Yes.
And again, the prosecutor brought out that you sent 750-some pages to Safe Sport with respect to a complaint that you made against Lauren Kanarek, correct?
Correct.
What was in those 750 pages that the prosecutor brought out, indicated to you?
You mean generally speaking?
Generally
Generally speaking, all of the horrible things that she had said about us and had said to other people, and horrible threats and abuse on social media.
And you specifically sent the actual post with her words to them, correct?
Correct.
You sent social media posts with regards to threats that were made against you and Michael Barisone, correct?
Correct.
And Michael Barisone saw these threats on social media, correct?
Correct.
How do you know that?
We would look at them together.
Okay. Next question.
And could you tell me what effect, what impact did those social media posts have on Michael Barrasso?
We were terrified of what it was building to and what was coming next. He was absolutely petrified and terrified.
And did you or he do anything with regards to hiring certain people to try to protect yourself?
We did.
Is it the fact that a private security guard was hired to sit at the top of the hill in front of the stables to guard the stables and the people inside?
That's correct.
Now, were you concerned about just your or your staff's personal safety or the safety of the horses in the stable?
Both.
Did any of the clients take precautions with regards to protecting their horses based on these social media posts?
Yes, sir.
What did they do?
Slept in front of the horses' stalls, and some of the ladies were super concerned about the status in the barn and what was the threats being made.
Is it your testimony that grown women would actually sleep in front of the horse stables?
Correct.
Because they were concerned for their own horses' safety?
Correct.
And can you tell me what effect did you observe that had on Michael Barison?
I mean, everything just was materializing more and more every day that she was doing, and he was absolutely unraveling.
Now, was a private investigator hired to do a complete background check on Lauren Kanarek and Robert Goodwin.
Correct.
And is that one of the things that you sent to Safe Sport?
Yes. I think so, yes.
And I'm not asking you what was in that. Can you tell me what impact that had on Michael Barison when he got that background check on both of those people?
We were horrified these people were living on our property and were unaware of these things.
Were you afraid of them?
I was, yes.
Was Michael Barison terrified of them?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's talk about his business for a second. Takes a lot of money to run a horse stable, correct?
Correct.
Prosecutor showed you some breakdown that Michael had sent you, correct?
Correct.
Did Michael usually always make his payments and keep things afloat?
Always.
And was it a struggle at times like it is for everyone else?
All right, Mr. Belinkus,
I'm sorry.
everyone else isn't on trial here, so keep your questions and comments to the issues in this case, please.
You indicated that Michael Barrasso always paid his bills, correct?
Correct.
Irrespective of a cash flow problem. You're also aware of the fact, because you're familiar with his business and his personal finances, that he had millions of dollars worth of assets, correct?
Correct.
He owns the farm in Florida, free and clear, correct?
Correct.
He owns a number of horses which could be worth close to $1 million, correct?
Correct.
And he has some investment accounts, correct?
Correct.
And even though at times it was a struggle to keep all the bills paid, at some point in time, he told Lauren Kanarek to get...
Objection. We discussed this at the break, Your Honor.
To leave, Judge.
Here's
I'm sorry?
To leave the property.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me see that sidebar.
Now, the prosecutor asked you questions with regards to a text, like no one officially told Lauren Kanarek to leave. Remember that text?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it a fact that numerous people had told Kanarek it's time to leave?
Judge.
What, again, Mr. Belinkus, I just ruled on that.
Judge, I thought I was referring to response to that text. Judge, I'll move on.
If you get, look, the text message was read. If you want to refer to the text message, that's fine. But
Judge,
I ruled it's improper to go outside of what this witness testified to in the text message.
Judge, with regards to that text, it says that no one officially told her to leave, correct?
Correct.
Isn't it a fact that unofficially numerous people told her to leave?
You know what, ladies and gentlemen, let's take our lunch break now, and I'll resolve this legal issue once and for all right? Please don't talk about the case. We'll resume at, try to get back at around 1:20, so everyone's assembled. We can start at 1:30, all right? Thank you all. Please don't discuss the case.